Crematorium Joint Committee on the 11th of July 2024. The first order of business today is to appoint a chair for the forthcoming civic year. Could I have a proposer for a chair, please?
I propose Councillor Ted Latham.
Thank you. And could I have a seconder?
Happy to second.
Are all members in favour of this appointment, please? Thank you. Before I hand over to the chair, the next item on the agenda is to appoint a vice chair. Could I have a proposer for a vice chair, please?
I propose Councillor Paul Davis from Bridgend.
Thank you. And could I have a seconder, please?
Happy to second.
Thank you. Are all members in favour of this appointment? Yeah, thank you. Councillor Latham, I now hand over to yourself to chair the remainder of the meeting.
Thanks, Nadine, and can I thank both Rob and Wayne and Scott up there for supporting my recommendation. It's a privilege and a pleasure to be reappointed as chair of this committee once again. So thank you all. Thanks very much. Just go through protocols, which I'm sure by now we're all used to. Today's meeting is being recorded. And if you could switch your phones onto silent for the duration of the meeting, and the protocols for remote meetings have been circulated previously. I'm not going to go through them. We all know what the protocols are. Before I go into the actual agenda, can I just make a few introductions? Officers here who have joined us in the chamber. Can I welcome and introduce James Davis first and foremost? James has been recently appointed as clerk to this committee in place of Craig. I have to say I've had a couple of meetings both with James and Clive down in the crematorium, which have been really positive, and we've got a good view of which way we're going to go forward. So I'm sure we all welcome and look forward to working with James over the next couple of years. I've also joined in the room, obviously, with Clive, who's superintendent. We've got Karina and Hugh, the financial guys. I've got Simon Brennan and Richard Jenkins. And we're also joined for, what's the word I'm looking for? What is Sam here for? Sam Evans is a new member of the financial team, and he's come here for experience, as he was put it. So, Sam, welcome to you, and I hope you enjoy the experience. Okay, so that gets that out of the way. So the next item on the agenda are any declarations of interest. I don't see any. We've done items 2 and items 3. So item 4, minutes of the previous meeting, which is on pages 3 to 4 of your pack. I'll go through them for accuracy first, and if there's any matters arising, then we'll take them up after that. So on pages 3 there, we got members present. Then I got items 1, 2, 3, and 4. They go over leaf to item 5, which is the James's position, and then that ended that meeting there. Are we all happy that they are a true record? Thank you very much. Okay. Sorry? Yeah, Rob and Will. Yeah. And any matters arising out of those sets of minutes? No, I don't see any. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, next meeting is the next item is the outturn report and the annual return 2023-24, pages 5 to 20 of the pack. Karina, are you going to take us through this? You.
Thanks, Chair. The purpose of this report is to provide details of the Joint Committee outturn report and annual return for 2023-24. This report provides details of the variances in income and expenditure since this committee approved the revised budget in December 2023. Members will note that there were 1,559 services provided in 2023-24. This included 127 cremation-only services. The actual position shows that the net amount available to transfer to the reserves was £41,037 more than anticipated at revised budget, This was made up from a reduction in expenditure of £28,311 and an increase in income of £12,726. Full details of the variances to the revised budget are included in Appendix 1. I will briefly run through some of the main variances. Staff training was increased by 3,895. This was due to a staff member enrolling on an ICCM diploma training course after the revised budget was set. Building repair and maintenance was increased by £5,725, which was due to an increase in the anticipated demand for maintenance work. There was an underspend of £2,511 on cremator maintenance. This was due to the additional maintenance that was required, not costing as much as anticipated. There was an underspend of £1,000 on brochures as they were not required last financial year. They will now be ordered in the 2024-25 financial year. There was an overspend of £5,029 on the multimedia system. This is offset by an increase in income. The capital works schedule is included at the top of page 7. There was an underspend of £33,666 in the 23-24 financial year. So on to income, there was an increase of £9,246 on media service income. This is offset in the increased expenditure as mentioned previously. Miscellaneous income, so this is income received from certificates of cremation, window vases, extra time in chapel and witness burials, increased by £530. And then the investment income received was £4,590 more than anticipated due to higher than expected interest rates. The contributions to reserves were £41,037 more than anticipated, resulting in the closing reserve balances at the 31st of March as shown at the bottom of page 8. The general reserve balance at the 31st of March 2024 stood at £1,043,598. The cremator renewal reserve balance at £900,000. The memorial bulb account at £5,861 and the Palm Sunday reserve balance at £4,182. Appendix 1 on pages 11 to 13 shows the income and expenditure accounts, including the dividend payments to Neath Talbot and Bridgend councils. Appendix 2 on page 14, shows the balance sheet breakdown, and then Appendix 3 on the remaining pages of the report shows the draft annual return, which was signed by Hugh as the Treasurer on the 20th of May 2024. Happy to take any questions that anybody may have.
Okay, thanks, Karina. Rob, did you want to ask a question?
Yeah, I got 1/47 that I'd like to see Karina's face then. No, a couple of observations and just a couple of small queries. The organist fee, the underspend there, is that a direct result of the use of the Wesley system? Do you want me to ask a couple of the questions going forward or one at a time?
Whichever.
Right, well, is that due to the underspend in the use of the Wesley system?
You might be better placed to
Sorry,
answer
what?
that.
The first one, the underspend of 2,348 for organist fees. Is it because we're using the Wesley system more and less of the organist?
Not because of
I thought that was an easy question.
I'm not sure, to be honest. I can't answer that.
With the
It's not to do with the Wesley because they're paid for each service and they operate the Wesley system.
So we've got more services by 9, and if they are operating the Wesley system, why is there an underspend?
We budget based on every service being a paid standard service, but obviously with the cremation only, they then don't have the service side of it, do they?
That's true.
So
That's true.
those numbers, obviously there was 127 cremation only, so we wouldn't have used an organist for those services, but we can't predict the number of cremation only we're going to do within a financial year. So we budget based on the 1,500 being full paid services, and then obviously if they aren't, there will be slight fluctuations in the expenditure.
Okay, thanks for that. Going on to the media system, we're seeing as an extra spend on page 6 of the 5,029. It doesn't really say why we've got that overspend there, because then if you go on to page 7, where you've got the media income of 9,247, there's a difference there in relation to 4,217. Now, if we take the offset with the organist fees, we're still making a profit of 1,869. So I don't understand why we've got the media system in twice.
So it's purely to report that the media was, obviously the expense was higher, but the income was higher. It's just showing that even though our expenditure's gone up, we've covered that and more with the additional income.
Okay, just a comment on this one with the capital works, the underspend of 33,000. We're desperate to get the capital works program up and running and make sure that we are spending the money that we're allocating. So just an observation there. Moving to page 8, the cremator renewals. It's nice to see that we've got a healthy balance there, but 2 observations on that chart. One, when we're going to be looking for the date of the cremator renewals, because we budgeted for about £1 million for the renewals. We must be coming to that time now. So it's just keeping on track as to when they're going to be renewed. And second point on that chart, the Memorial Bulb account and the Palm Sunday account are very, very healthy. But I noticed the report says we haven't planted any bulbs at all out of that money. And I think it's something that we need to look at going forward, because otherwise, why have we got a bulb account and we're not planting bulbs? So just an observation on those. Going on to the appendix, again, just observations here. I know we revised the gas estimate, a jump from 57 to 91,000. Gas is coming down. It's just a matter that we need to keep a very close eye on that because of the expenditure with energy costs. And then a final legal point from me, which Hugh may be able to answer. The very last page 13, the funding from the joint authorities, we're giving hundreds of pounds, 553 and 447, to make up the 1,000 of funding from the authorities, but we're giving them £55,000, etc. Is there a real need for them to contribute that £1,000 between the two? Because it's an academic process that doesn't seem relevant when we're giving back 10 times more than what we're receiving as an initial fee. And I'm just wondering if it's a legal precedent that we have to do, considering how healthy the finances are going forward in relation to the crematorium. Thank you, Chair.
I'll come back on that last point first with the answer. I don't know, to be honest, Councillor Jones, but I will get some advice from a legal colleague and respond to the committee members on that. Don't know whether Clive wants to respond on the cremator renewal question as well.
Yes, please. Excuse me. The cremators are in a good condition at the moment. They're looked after. They're taken care of. We're in the process, or we'll shortly be negotiating a new contract for maintenance. And I would say that the full replacement of the cremators will not be necessary for a number of years as yet.
Yeah, thank you for that, Mr. Phillips. If that is the case, I think that at some point the committee then therefore needs to make a decision if we're going to continue to put £100,000 into this fund going forward for a finite period of time to cover the costs, or if we are going to continue with this contract, however long it's going to be, then we need to make an assessment as to, we know we've got to replace the cremators. We know the costs have gone up. We were targeting £1 million for the replacement. What the future projection is, because if we've reached our target next year for that, then perhaps we need to reevaluate the target of what we need to be set in to make sure that we put in enough money in, or too much money in. Can you see what I'm coming from? Because we've worked on the £1 million replacement. So if it's not going to be £1 million or more than £1 million, we need to have a target that we need to look forward to.
I'll let James make his debut on that point.
Thanks, Councillor Jones. Can I suggest that maybe for the next meeting, I work closely obviously with the technical officer, and we'll come back and bring a report because obviously it links closely to the ambitions to net zero as well. And yeah, I take your point. No, £1 million might have been the target when the fund was set up, but it may not be what's required in 4 or 5 years' time. As yeah.
Okay. Clive, did you want to make a point about Rob asked about gas consumption with what you told me earlier? Or
Yes, the excuse me, we are undertaking an experiment with FTs. It's something that officers authorised. There's been a change to the way that the cremator is operated, change to the way the burners are operating, which will see a considerable drop in gas usage. We've already seen a drop over the last couple of months, and during the time that the experiment has been going, and it'll be interesting to see exactly how much we do save, over the forthcoming months.
Can I come back on the legal question? I've had a response now to say that it's part of the original joint committee agreement, Chair. So if we wanted to move away from that cost sharing of £1,000, we need to put a new legal agreement in place.
you've had the answer. Okay. Any other questions on the report? No? Okay, excellent. Are we all happy to accept? Are we not in the report? We're not in this week.
It's a decision, so we need a proposal.
Okay,
I
well,
move-
we all happy
I move,
with
yeah,
that?
yeah.
Okay. All happy with that?
Happy
Wayne?
to second.
Okay, great. Okay. So that's accepted. And Karina, can I thank you once again for all your hard work and everything you put into an excellent report yet again. Thank you very much. Moving on then, agenda item 6, commission figures for January to June 2024, pages 21 to 22 of the report. Clive?
Thank you, Chair. Members will note that the figures are slowly coming back to normal following the pandemic. For the first 6 months of 2024, there were a total of 807 cremations, as opposed to 900 during 2023. And month on month, they are comparable now with previous years. For example, July last year was 157 for some reason. But this year it looks to be what it normally is, around about the 100, 120 mark. The report is for members to note. Thank you.
Any questions on that one? Just one from me, Clive. The direct cremations, are they included in those figures there?
Yes, they are. Those figures are the total cremations undertaken.
Okay, thanks. No other indications? Okay, that report is there for noting, so we note that. Thank you, Clive. And then moving on to agenda item 7, which was referred to earlier, an update on the capital work programme, pages 23 to 26. Is it Richard or Simon? Simon?
I'll introduce it, Chair, if you
You.
like, and Richard is here then to provide some more technical detail because he's been going through the various works. As the report notes, there are a number of sort of major issues that we're looking at in terms of the capital works, starting with the what was the redecoration of the existing outside of the building, but has now sort of moved towards concrete repairs as well, because we're experiencing some concrete repairs and some concrete defects across the building. That has probably turned into a slightly bigger job than initially estimated. And then the other pieces of work, then obviously you've got the toilet block, which I think there was a little bit of discussion as to whether this was going to be a refurbishment of the existing or whether it was going to be remodeling, etc., because that's when the listed building consent issue will kick in for us. And then There's the piece of work then around the redevelopment of the internal courtyard, and we probably are a little bit away, about a week or so away, Rich, are we, from getting the drawings on that, which we'll be able to present then to make sure that they're the sort of images that you want us to get priced up to take forward. And then the last one, which probably James has more information on than myself, is around the highway, and that has recently been patched up, but it's whether that's going to go full resurfacing. I think in terms of the program of works, we're probably not far off getting the full detail to understand the impact. In terms of the concrete repairs and the decoration, the current proposal is that that will have to be tested, probably in an inconspicuous area of the building around the back, perhaps, so that we can make sure that the process that we're going to undertake is going to be one that will work properly, because there's some discussion as to whether they might actually have to steam off all the existing paintwork to get adherence. And of course, that turns it into a bit of a longer job then and a bit more costly. So I think we'll need to do that first, and that testing exercise. Richard and I have had a discussion, because obviously in terms of the programming of works, we're a little bit sort of 6 of one, half a dozen of another, in terms of you don't really want to do the internal courtyard area and then go across it all to put up scaffolding, to do the external redecoration and the steam cleaning, etc. And similarly, you don't want to redecorate everything and then have diggers and all the rest of it in, and you maybe damage some of the paintwork, etc. But I think in those, what we'll probably do is do the external redecoration first before we move across then to doing the internal courtyard would be the better program of works. So I think what we're looking for today is some confirmation on the redevelopment or refurbishment of the toilet block itself. And that probably, or may possibly be a separate piece of work then to the major piece of work around the external. And then when we get into the external redecoration, then we've got to talk in the same way as we did around the extension as to how we're going to achieve that in terms of operational hours, to make sure we're not disrupting the crematorium more than we need to. But of course, it is a big piece of work, and you will have scaffolding up there, I'm assuming, Richard, for a period of time. I don't know if we've got a duration on those works, have we? Okay. Okay. So depending on the test itself, we'll then know how long those works will take and how much disruption we're likely to cause. And then we'll need agreement then as to when you would like us to undertake that. Obviously, it won't be during the winter months. It'll be a summer month program because of the decoration. So we'll need to push that into the system then.
Hey, thanks, Simon. Did you want to add anything at all, James? Or?
I think just a note, I've on the point regarding the surfacing, I've spoke to colleagues obviously within street care services, and I think what I'm told, I'm imminently waiting a report now for the costs associated with the resurfacing of the entire length of the driveway. But like Simon said, they were down there a number of weeks ago, and they did some patching works, which I think has made a fair bit of difference already.
Rob?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Mr. Brenner, thank you for the update in relation to it. I am disappointed. I make no bones about that in relation to the time it's taken us to get these capital projects out and running. I think it may be of a benefit to committee members, and it'll certainly be of a benefit to myself, is that attached to the technical officer's report, that projects going forward have a timescale. We do it with every other area of the council, whether it's red, amber or green, and we hit in those targets as to expected timescales. It will account for the fact of the underspend on the capital works programme that we've got. There's a lot of work that needs to be done in the CREM, and whilst we've got the money, I think it's incumbent on us as a committee to spend it wisely, but to make sure the work is done. So I personally would like to see a chart of the listed projects that we've got, with the priority ones that have been listed already in the report on pages 23 and 24. But I think we need to keep on track of what we're trying to achieve, and those that are in the pipeline that are given less priority because we see the toilets and the building refurb as priorities. There was talk at one point about the roof and what have you. And we will tend to lose sight of that the committee's already agreed, even if we've got the list of what's been agreed by the committee, but even if it was pending, because we're giving priority to the main ones that we want to deal with, and it'll keep us on track and keep you on your toes. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. Much appreciated. We will, of course, produce a programme of works for you. And I think, everything is taking a little longer at the moment because the pressure on the system within our consultancy service is often, we've never experienced this before. And so anything that's not absolutely urgent and has got a grant attached to it at the moment is having to take a little bit of a backseat, unfortunately. But Richard has been doing this on his own to take it forward. So I'm grateful to Richard for all his hard work to take that forward. But I think that the order of the works then, and once we've got those costings in place, of course, there'll be some decisions to be made, because of just chatting to Hugh before the before we started, and I think there's broadly around about £1 million, I think, other than the cremator work, in terms of potential for capital. And between these projects, potentially we could be eating all of that up and maybe a little bit more. So we'll have to get into a prioritization process.
Yeah, it totally. And I think that's what we need, is the priorities that we're looking at associated with the capital spend, and then allocations of financially, are we putting enough money into the capital programme as well? You know, Richard has been worrying over this so much. He's lost 3.5 stone. So, you know, let's be fair. It is giving him cause for concern. So it must be giving us cause for concern.
I think perhaps I need to worry about it a little bit more too then.
There's just, I suppose, aside from the actual capital works itself, I think one thing that hasn't been discussed today is obviously there's going to be a timescale associated with the triage, isn't it, of the decoration. Is something that the committee would want to proceed with in terms of jet washing the building down prior to that, which I think would probably help with the works anyway, and assist them, and obviously make it make an improvement in terms of the facility in the meantime.
Yeah, I'd certainly support that, Chair. It's, you know, it's making progress. It's doing something and reducing the length of time that we get in these programme and capital programme completed.
When I said earlier that I'd met with James down there, and you and I went through this experience ourselves, Rob, when you go down there for the service, you don't take notice of what's around you. You're just there and you focus. When James and I went down there and met with Clive, and we walked around, you know, that building is dirty. The outside of that building is, in some places, stinking dirty. And I think a jet wash would really help with you know, the way it looks down there. And it's only when you go down there focused on what you're looking at is you see what needs to be done. So yeah, I think that may be a good idea.
Yes, no problem. We can arrange that from general maintenance probably. And Richard just said to me now, it won't be wasted work as such, and it'll tidy it up a bit, and might lose a bit more bit of concrete off it, but we should be okay.
Yes, on that thought, Chair, you and I and the committee many years ago actually did an inspection of the grounds, you know, because we've got in the programme we heard about drainage and dealing with drainage. Might it be a suggestion, because we haven't met in the Kremlin for some time, is for the committee to actually have just a general walkabout with officers looking at the proposed capital projects, but also cast an objective eye in relation to things as a committee. So we've you know, very often if I come across a problem, I will go and visit it. So I've got a bird's eye view and an understanding. If people are saying, oh, we're going to take this wall down and we're going to do this and we don't do that, you can understand then what we're doing, as opposed to reading a cold report and not perhaps having the vision of seeing where there's moss on the wall, where it needs to be power washed. Because you rightly say, what do we see? We see the car park. We stand outside in the outside waiting area. We go into the chapel and we come out through the back end. We don't actually look at the building, and it's us as guardians that need to perhaps have that overview. So I would suggest that the committee, not as a formal committee meeting, but go down there like we have our seminars to discuss future projects. We go down, I'm sure Clive can find 6 cups and saucers for a cup of coffee. And we have a general walk around the building with officers just to ask questions and to view it for ourselves.
So we'll get that arranged, and we'll go down just for the purpose of having a look around and see what we can see. Okay, brilliant. Okay. Any other questions on the report? Wayne?
Yeah, I do appreciate, Simon, that you don't know when the toilet refurb is going to happen. But when it does happen, I assume that we'll have portable toilets in place, because when there's a large funeral, the internal toilets at the Crem would never be sufficient.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what we're going to do. I mean, I think that's part of the discussion, really, isn't it? And we're happy to take some further direction on that in terms of what you would like us to do within that toilet block, because that piece of work could happen independently of the main building. So we could get on with that quicker than perhaps some of the other work.
So the recommendation is that we note the progress to date, albeit I take on board what you say, Rob. And are we happy to confirm the list of the priorities that have been given to us verbally and are contained within the report? Okay. All right. Okay then. So that's noted. So you'll arrange the get together down there. Okay, fascinating. So that fetches me to item 8, which is urgent items. I haven't been informed of any, so I'd like to thank everybody for their attendance today and declare the meeting closed. Thank you all very much. Thank you.